Hampstead School Board meeting for Tuesday, April 9th, 2019. Oh, it's not on yet. Sorry.
Now we are.
Should I redo it?
Now you're.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to call to order the Hampstead School Board meeting for Tuesday, April 9th, 2019 at 7:01 p.m. Melissa, will you call the roll, please?
Yes. David Smith,
Here.
James Sweeney,
Here.
Karen Yusenka,
Here.
and Caitlin Parnell,
Here.
and Pinkerton Academy Student Liaison, Emma Johnston. Here. Thank you. And also seated at the board table is Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Metzler.
Okay, do the pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In your packets, you have the meeting minutes from our March 26th reorganizational meeting and our March 26th regular meeting, as well as our non-public session, also on March 26th. Take a minute to review. Can I have a motion to, do we have to do these separately? Or can
No,
we do
we
them all
don't have
together? Okay. Can I have a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Anyone have any changes or edits? Okay, all in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you. Public comments.
We don't have any tonight.
Okay, thank you. Have administrative reports?
Who's doing this? Who does that?
Jeff has to sign off.
Oh, he does that.
Here.
Okay, because it looks like my calendar used to go down.
Principal's report is actually, I'll make it rather brief. You've read the report, or you can read it at your own leisure. Just a couple things I just wanted to highlight. We do have some of our teachers that have visited our Timberlane school last week, and we have another visit going on Thursday of this week. So we're learning quite a bit more about FLES. Sounds like it's going to be an easy fit at our school. The 2019 Eddie's on-site visit was yesterday. I want to say thank you to Ms. Parnell for coming in and being one of the parent volunteers that sat in on one of the panels. Just to give you an idea what happened yesterday, we had 6 visitors for 3 hours, and we tried to show them everything soup to nuts about Hempstead Central School, so they will be convinced that maybe we can move forward with this process to become an elementary school of excellence again. So the nice piece is it was a very, very good visit. I wear a little lanyard that says proud to be a principal. Yesterday I was very proud to be a principal because the kids did most of the presenting. We had the kids actually present learning because they wanted to visit classrooms. They came back very impressed and pleased with what they saw. We set up the library with kids from preschool, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, showing the learning, and it was one of the most exciting things that I think I've done in recent years. It was just so much fun to see the kids talk about what they've learned, so much that Dr. Cheney and I are saying, like, wow, we need to do this more often and just have the kids come in. And a few teachers came in and just wanted to walk around and talk to kids from other grade levels. It was awesome. If you look at what's in my report, you will see that next week's a very busy week. So if you're bored next week, swing by school for something every single day. Sometimes 2 or 3 things happen on a day. One fun one is we have the garbage gorillas on Wednesday. It's where third graders literally get to rip through the garbage and learn about what could have been recycled and what really needs to go to this place and that. So the third graders actually get to literally rip through the garbage with gloves, just to be very safe. We'll let them know about that. And it is the same day as the concert, so I did get an email. Do they need to change clothes between dress rehearsal? No. It's not that type of a ripping through the garbage. But this is something we've done through a number of years, and it's actually coordinated by one of our parents who's very involved with the town recycling, Ellen Cabral. She's awesome. So again, if you want to drop by school next week, there's plenty going on. And if you'd like to have a quieter school the week after, drop by. It's school vacation week. Thank you.
Mr. Collins, what time's the concert on the 17th?
Yes. I think it's at 7 p.m. It's typically at 7
Okay.
p.m. In the evening. We intentionally chose Wednesday, trying to avoid Holy Week stuff, because there's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff happening at our churches in the community, particularly with our neighbor across the street. So Father Mark said it fits the schedule.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Next Thursday, Mrs. Lori Warnock will be presenting 3 separate presentations for our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders on e-cigarettes and vaping. This is a follow-up on the adult presentation that we had done earlier in the fall with regards to this health risk to our children. We're very thankful for her to come from the New England Poison Control to share her wealth of knowledge with us. And I've invited parents to come in if they're free during that time to just stop in and learn along with their children. She has a vast amount of knowledge, and it's all science-based, and the students are already being prepped through our school counselors talking about it in class and also through health class. So we'll be ready to receive this information. Also, last week, our students went to the Supreme Court, and they worked with Chief Justice Robert Lynn and some of the clerks at the Supreme Court. They had prepared some delving into a trial, all that goes into that. That they were so impressed by our students' focus on it, and they're already inviting us to come back again next year. Then the kids went over to La Coretta and had a Spanish meal and spoke all in Spanish the entire time, which they did very well per Senora Randall. This coming Saturday is the state competition for the American Legion Oratorical Competition. Lydia Hong and Emma Gordon will be competing and support our school and our district at that competition at St. A's. This Friday, we have the following students that will be representing Hampstead in the New Hampshire Music Educators Honors Choir: Avery Barcelos, Elise Bennett, Braden Trombley, Kelsey Ponictera, Mabel Bachman, and Luke Thibodeau. This will be at the Grapponi Center. They will be rehearsing all day with a distinguished conductor, culminating with a performance at 4 o'clock. So I'm looking forward to attending that concert. Graduation has been slated for June 14th. That is Friday. And Pinkerton's is June 10th, so we've aligned it so there's no competition of time between parent schedules. Our New England League of Middle School, I know I mentioned it last time, that is coming up next Wednesday as well. And they will be spending a whole day in a team coming around evaluating our systems and our culture. And this is part of our application for a Spotlight School and a Blue Ribbon School. STEM ambassadors next Friday, right before vacation. Our STEM ambassadors from the University of New Hampshire, our engineering master's students, they come over with a program, and it's a drone delivery challenge this year. And I think we're on a theme here with Destination Imagination on drones, and now we've got these drones. And this is their prompt. So if you can just think as a 5th grader, think they're only 10. This is their prompt. You are engineers working to design a new protective package for the iPhone that will be delivered by a new drone delivery system. The drone will drop packages from the sky to people's homes. The package must keep the phone undamaged during shipment, sustain multiple drops, and be made at the lowest cost. Your task is to create a protective package using an egg in place of an iPhone. The package should prevent the egg from breaking when dropped. The team with lowest cost to keep the egg from breaking wins the challenge. They'll also have the ability to recycle their materials in order to lower the cost of their design. Remember, a lot of engineering and math goes into designing packaging. Work together, listen to ideas, and keep asking questions. So that is their challenge right before April vacation. My fifth graders are up for it, I'm sure. Student council, and thank you to Pinkerton Academy, sent over their finest and worked with our students last week. Their student council spoke with our students after school in the library. And now our students from our student council will be going to Pinkerton Academy on Friday for a leadership conference, working together. What does it mean to be a leader once you become an astro? And so our kids are ready for that. And there's many other things in the newsletter and for you to share. It is extremely busy at our school, but I wanted to just share an academic achievement that I think is worth noting at this point from Mrs. Wallace. Mrs. Wallace, you know, is our math specialist, and she works at Pinkerton and throughout the state on many math initiatives. And one of the things that she wanted to share with me and asked me to share it with you as well is that all of our students that take Algebra 1 in 8th grade are very high achieving students. And so we're able to offer an Algebra 1 class at our school at the Algebra 1 level. They don't get high school credit for it because we're teaching it at our level with our teacher. But we had a number of students last year, we had 13 or 14, who were enrolled as freshmen in the Algebra 2 honors class. And they've had a 100% success rate, and so the head of the math department wanted us to know that no other sending school has done that. So we're very, very pleased with this accomplishment from our mathematics students and Mrs. Wallace for sure. So come on by. It's really busy the next 2 weeks, really busy, but we're excited. Do you have any questions for me?
Do we offer that for any other classes other than the math?
No.
Okay.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you. Emma?
The college fair is April 11th. That's this Friday. It's from 6 to 8 in the Hackler Gymnasium. And I know I mentioned this last time, but this is a really great opportunity for essentially juniors who are looking to go further their education after high school, because there are going to be a lot of different representatives from colleges around the country, really, that are going to be there. Then there's also the Reverse Career Fair, and so Pinkerton's partnering with the Manchester Area Human Resource Association and the Greater Derry Londonderry Chamber of Commerce and Southern New Hampshire College Fair, and this is where students will be able to present themselves to different businesses around New Hampshire. This is in the Shepherd Auditorium from 3:30 to 6, also on Friday. The class of 2021's annual Easter egg hunt is this Saturday. It's open to anyone who would like to participate in some fun Easter events. That's in the Shepherd Auditorium. And then, like Mrs. Denola mentioned, this Friday, Student Council will be hosting Leadership Day. And there's going to be, I believe, 5 sending towns going, sending their 8th grade student councils and NJHS. I will be there because I'm on the committee that plans it, and my younger brother's going, so I'm really excited. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
A quick question, Emma. The college fair, as
Yeah.
you mentioned, the 11th and Friday, is it Thursday or Friday?
Friday.
So it's the 12th, right?
Oh, it's 11th, sorry.
So it is
it's
Thursday?
Thursday, sorry.
Okay, so moving on to the school resource officer update from our principals.
school board asked us to sort of give an update on how it's working out. So we just sort of put together a very quick, small slideshow just to help us talk here a little bit.
51.
Time for classes.
Let's face them that way.
No, I guess I can't. Thank you, Vanna. Okay. Back one. There we go. Just to sort of people that may be watching or just not familiar with the background, we had this conversation that started early back in 2018, and the school board and the school district worked together with the Town of Hempstead Police Department as well as the selectmen. It was a rather lengthy process, but as a result, we were able to have a school resource officer start working in our school on October 1st. It is Officer Mark Conway, and he was actually a detective, and he's now labeled as the school resource officer as part of the police department. October the 1st, he actually only was working 2 days a week, which meant he was pretty much at one day at the central school, 1 day at the middle school. And when the fiscal year began for the town on January the 2nd, he was able to start working full-time. So we have a schedule set up where he's at each school at least 2 days a week, and then the 5th day is kind of one or the other, depending on the need. But he's also just 0.6 of a mile away from the other school, so he can just literally pick up and go ahead to the other school, which happens frequently. The goals when we put in the school resource officer was 4 prongs. We were trying to increase the physical safety and the security of our students. We're also trying to establish relationships with children, families, and staff. So the police department and the school, we can enhance that relationship that is important to quite a few families in this community. We wanted to create an environment where children can just feel like they can sit and talk with a policeman. We've got the great guy doing this too. Gold medal there, I can tell you right now. And assist the principals, because there's a lot of safety procedures, planning, and other security issues that they have great knowledge and support for us. So the next part of this is Mrs. Denola is going to tell you what happens on a given day with our school resource officer.
Just a day in the life of our SRO. And he is there first thing in the morning. Those of you who are there dropping off your child, you may see him there just surveying and seeing if there's any issues of concern, looking at bus traffic patterns, greeting the students as they get off the bus, advising us to any changes that we need to do in traffic flows. And he does that. He's right out there first thing in the morning, and he's there after school as well. He's in the hallways. He's first thing when the kids are coming in, he's in the front foyer with me and the school counselors. Good morning, how's your day? He's become a regular part of our community. In the fall, it was a little like, what's this? Now it's pardon me, it's just part of our regular day. He is monitoring our security cameras. He lets me know if there's anything out of place, if there's a discipline piece, like, oh, there's 3 students over and you might want to check that out. So he's not addressing students for any disciplinary pieces. He just gives us a heads up so we can go and check it out if there's something out of sorts. He's always checking the security of our doors. Sometimes doors get propped open by mistake. Pardon me, I got a tickle in my throat. And he goes around the periphery of the building as well, checking doors, and that gives us a good way of putting in some facilities requests when something needs some grease or a lock's not working properly. He addresses that with us, right away. And he's welcome. Informally, he's talking with students in the cafeteria. He has lunch there every day. He is welcomed into, and I'm just jumping to here, but he's asked by teachers to come in when they are doing some conversations, like in the 8th grade, about constitutional law. So Mrs. Wolf has asked him to come in and weigh in from his perspective as a law enforcement officer. what is the law with regards to certain things that different articles and amendments that they're studying. In health, he did a cyber safety lesson along with our health teacher. He doesn't just go ahead and take over as an instructor. He's asked to come in as an expert in certain formats. He was a guest reader at the elementary school, and he's worked with, he's partnering up with one of our counselors for group support, which making of champions, and this is with parent support. Parents are notified and asked, would you like your child to be part of this group of just making good choices, bolstering student esteem, and up until this point, parents have been very, very happy for him to be working with our school counselors.
Some of the other projects that are not the daily tasks that you would see with the school resource officer, he's been working with us on some specific projects that we have, or just, incidents that occur or events that are happening in and around our school. Specifically, he was instrumental in making sure that the town voting that happens at the middle school was very safe for all involved. He was very effective in the November voting, which was very large, as you guys know, and again in March. He's also been advised in responding to specific incidents at the request of the principal. Occasionally we have an incident where it's better that we have his presence there to work with us or other staff members, which is really great to have him around. He's just the right personality to work with our staff and our kids and families as well. I love his presence on Emerson Avenue. Emerson Avenue sometimes is a very, very busy, and occasionally people just need a simple reminder beyond the blue light that we put on a little stand. Having the presence of a police officer standing out there in a car sometimes slows down the traffic. And those that need a little bit extra, shall we say, personal attention, he has the capacity to stop them and have a little conversation. It's been making the streets safer. We do have a district safety committee. He's actually now the police representative that is there with other members of our community. He has been doing some specific training, and this actually predates his work as our SRO. When we were doing some of the active threat hostile intruder training with our teaching staff, support staff, administration, he's been involved with that, but he's been able to do additional pieces of that. I mean, a good example is he did some of the large training that we would have done before the school year began, but new staff, or the people that need a little refresher, or even just for the whole staff. He'll attend the staff meetings or other pieces that we need at school. We do have the attendance committee, and sometimes he could provide some insight as we take a look at what's going on with the attendance of our students. And he's also involved with our school meetings. At the central school, we call that the all-school meeting, and we've done things. For example, we had one meeting earlier this year, which was focused on safety. So he was clearly the policeman. We had Captain Dane come over from the fire department, which was nice to have. Middle school has these town halls, which are grade level gatherings. So, I mean, he's been part of that as well.
So future plans for our SRO. We plan to continue with his training and help with regards to our school preparedness. He assists us with our emergency operations plan, which is every year we have to support it. We have to submit it to the Department of Education, and it's an extensive safety plan following the Homeland Security guidelines. It's like this thick. So
Chair gets to read it.
yes, it's.
I look forward to it.
It's a very important document, and now with his expertise and this EOP, we are then aligning all of our school safety practices and all of our just basic things like a fire drill is an evacuation drill now. And we are using the same kind of language that is used through law enforcement. So in the case of any issues, we're all using the same language, and it's much more efficient, and we all know what we're talking about. So he's been very helpful with that. He talks to our kids about bike safety. He's out there when the kids start hopping on their bikes, where's your helmet? A simple thing like that, but I'll just call mom and dad to come get the child and say, we need a helmet, and we'll get you a helmet. So just the simple things. That's our school safety plans that I was referring to, that we're aligning it with the EOP with his expertise. So he's been working on that and drilling it down and helping us out a lot with that. Do you have any questions with regards to what that looks like on a daily basis, or what it isn't or is?
Anybody?
Thank you.
No, thank you. This was good and informative and really helps us see what it's like on a daily basis.
I can't thank you enough. On behalf of Mr. Collins and myself, I thank you so much this is such a gift to our community, and Dr. Metzler and Dr. Wilson seeing it on a grander scale of how this really has improved our safety. I had a parent say to me today, not prompted, out of the blue, and just said, I just want you to know I was talking to my 5th grader last night, and we were talking about a safety piece, and he said, you know what, Dad, I'm really not afraid anymore of anything happening. And he's like, well, why, sweetheart? Why would you say that? And he said, well, because we've got Detective Conway. He's there. And it was, and he said he had tears in his eyes. Just a simple thing, the presence. And not only is he a presence, but he works with our students and he works with us, and within the parameters that you all, set forward. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up we have to do board liaison assignments. So you should have in your packets, there's 2 sheets, one which shows you what the assignments have been the last year, and kind of a worksheet here where we can do assignments.
Should we wait until the next person comes on?
I think we should move, is there anything that says we can't switch a liaison after today?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think that would be up to the board to do.
Okay, I would say I'd like to get this going, and then if whoever our 5th member has a special interest, or if somebody said, maybe somebody takes on 3 things and they don't really want to do 3 of these assignments, we can discuss. Is that okay? You're all right with that?
You're the boss.
We're a team, Jim.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. I guess we'll just go through this one. So we've got facilities, we've got special needs, we have technology, we have the policy committee, we have the HMS and HCS liaisons, we have vouchers, which is going to check every two weeks? Every
That's a-
2 weeks you go down to,
Good thing, actually, Dave, if you could, what the
yeah, okay, good
involvement
point.
is.
Okay,
There was a couple questions I was going
okay,
to ask,
let's,
so thanks for-
okay, then let's.
Just a quick,
let's go
2
through
days a
this.
week, 2 hours a
Right,
week.
okay, that's a really good point. Okay, let's start with facilities. Jim, you did facilities. How often did you need to?
You could talk to Tom directly, or whoever. And then when it's budget time, you're going to be working with Tom, understand his needs so you can represent them to the board. So it's definitely less than doing, let's say, the policy committee, or even vouchers.
Because facilities doesn't, do they have a set, I know there's the green initiative,
Not
but
what
that's
that-
separate,
That's not
right?
what that is, no.
So they don't have a set meeting
No.
schedule or anything?
No.
No, okay. Special needs.
I don't know what that is.
I think that was basically a liaison position, similar to
Facilities.
the facilities and HMS and HCS liaisons. I guess in essence, you're kind of the contact person. I mean, really, anybody can go to anyone if they have questions, or they direct it through Dr. Metzler anyways. And then, as Jim mentioned, at budget season, you may focus more on that if you're a liaison for one of those groups. Same for technology, actually. Policy committee meets once a month.
Yes. Third Tuesday of the month.
Okay. I know right now, is it 10:30 to 11:30?
Yep.
Dr. Wilson did mention to me there might be some flexibility to move that a little earlier in the day, so perhaps if it's somebody who then needs to go on to work. So it's once a month, it's about an hour. Karen has served. So I don't know if you want to speak to anything else about that.
No, it's an hour. And, I would say, I've been on the policy committee and HCS. I'm happy to stay on both of those unless someone else would like to give it a try, and then I'll be glad to step back if someone else wants them. If no one else wants it, I'll stay on policy and I'll stay with HCS.
Okay.
But if someone wants, I'll be glad to switch to.
All right, we'll go through a couple more of these, and then we'll start doing assignments for everything. Vouchers is going down twice a month to the SAU, and you look through everything that's going to be paid. I actually did it today. It took me about maybe half an hour they have a whole stack ready for you. You kind of just look at them. That's all you're doing is reviewing. You look at the bill, you look at what's going to be paid. If you have questions, they're happy to answer any questions. But it's interesting. It's kind of a different side to, okay, we have this budget, but this is actually what's going out every 2 weeks, and this is what this particular thing costs, and it kind of drives home.
And that can be done until, what, 4 o'clock?
The office closes at 4 o'clock,
So
so that's really
3:30.
the best time to be there during the business hours from 8:30 to 4 while the business department is there in case you have questions.
So at least 3:30 to 4.
Yeah.
Can I just add to that? I think it's Kathleen was doing it a lot, and then I picked it up when she left. But I think it's something that every board member should do, because it really gives you an insight into how the money that's in the budget, how it is being spent and where it's being spent. And so it gives you another perspective. So I think it's something that everyone should at least do a couple times.
That's true. This was my first time, actually, because Kathleen always did it, so, and it was interesting. District Safety Committee meets four times a year, kind of quarterly, basically. Again, it's about an hour, sometimes a little bit longer. I did it this past year. I thought it was very interesting.
What time of the day is that?
Usually 9 or 10 was our start time. And then the last piece is this New Hampshire School Board Association delegate, which you can attend the conference. Is it a conference that they? Yes, you want to speak to that, because I'm
Sure,
not totally clear.
this one usually requires a special election because all 5 members want to serve on
Oh,
this,
yeah.
So,
It's a fight.
yeah, no, there's a general assembly. General Assembly in January, and I think you'll see that the minutes are attached, and then some of the resolutions that were passed, so you get kind of an idea about what the work would look like. We certainly have contact with Barrett Christina and that staff at the New Hampshire School Board Association, and, that person also, in the past, we talked about the National School Board Association as well. I mean, Jason has different people that served in that role. Some good resources, and then you're pretty much the contact person for the district. For that, in addition to the delegate.
Okay, thank you. So that's basically what we have to make some decisions on. Karen has said that she is willing to continue doing policy and being the HCS liaison. Does anyone?
Can you speak to what the HCS and HMS?
It's just the liaison to those schools, but it's not as if you can only talk to.
No, that's scary.
And at budget time, I know a couple years ago, I have done middle school, and I sat with Marie, and she really went through the line items that we were talking about and what the needs were. We did that a little differently this past year. When we had our budget workshop, we really were all sitting together, so it wasn't as split up, but that's really, and you'd maybe meet with the principals a couple times a year and really just talk with them. I have found it an enlightening experience, and I've really enjoyed it because they kind of get to show off their schools, which is a really neat way. I mean, it's different from being a parent and going in, so that's how I characterize those positions.
Thanks.
Okay, so are we fighting this out?
I don't know, do you want HCS?
Do we want to switch up?
No, this
I mean, if you have kids there, you might want to be there more, have
even
more
more reason I
input.
don't want to be there. No, I can't.
Okay.
You're not going to have a kid there for a little bit.
I know, I'm going to be a few years.
You got to
before I'm
get a
there.
few years.
No, it's fine. I was just curious what that was, just to, thank you.
Anybody?
I will
You gonna
do,
fight?
I'm interested in technology and vouchers.
Okay, great. You want to do both? You're,
Yes.
okay.
But
I'd like to continue at middle school unless somebody else wants it. And I'd like to continue doing the safety committee. Again, unless somebody, sorry, David, we're kind of talking over you.
No, I'm learning from you all what's all in these, so it's good.
So we've got special needs, special ed, and then facilities.
So I can take facilities.
Okay?
I can take special needs also. It's no set meeting, so I can,
Yeah,
find out more about it, but.
okay. And again, once we have a fifth member in place, if we want to revisit this or we want to talk to them and see if they have any, what about the school board delegate? Does anybody? Oh, and Ceres?
Reska's there too. Kathleen was.
last
I thought we
person
weren't
on the-
doing,
I eliminated that because I didn't think that we were doing
Yeah,
that anymore.
I
Maybe
thought-
that was a mistake I made.
No, you actually got it right. Ceres, we still use some services from Ceres, but Ceres is no longer a member district
Right.
organization, so you don't really have a representative there. They have their own hand-selected board. We don't sit on the board anymore, school board, so you don't need a representative to Ceres.
okay. All right, well, I'll fight you not
The
to
new,
do it.
you can assign it to the new person.
Yeah, that's nice.
That might be a little overwhelming.
Okay, trial by fire, right?
I'll do it. You took policy, I'll take that.
Are you comparing them, both of them, policy and?
No, I'm just saying,
Well, what did you have? You have, how many did you take?
I've only got middle school and safety committee.
Okay, and I just have policy in that.
Well, we'll have a new person, they can,
Why don't we wait until January 25th and see who's available?
Okay. I mean, that's fine too.
That's when-
Right?
Yeah,
I mean, if we decide that we're going to bring something to the school board association, because that's the other piece, correct? If we decide that we have any sort of resolution?
Right, I think last year you didn't. I don't think you appear in these minutes, but the year before, I believe you
Yes.
did bring something. So it's really
Right.
just up to the board if they want to bring
And
anything.
it is kind of important to have representation there.
Right,
So we need someone to definitely go.
okay. We'll put my name down and
Okay.
you can be the backup in case something comes up.
Okay.
Okay, so I think we're all set with that. Do you have all that? I wrote stuff down, I can give you this if you want, unless you already have it.
Should I just go over it right now to make sure I have it right?
Sure.
Okay, so facilities, I have David Smith, and also for special needs, and for technology, James Sweeney. Policy committee, Karen Yasenka. HMS, Caitlin Parnell. HCS, Karen. Vouchers, Jim. And safety committee, Caitlin. And then did you, Caitlin, do the delegate position? Okay, so that's what I have.
And Karen was an alternate.
Alternate, should I be unable to fulfill my
Should you are unable
duties.
to fulfill your duties, that's right.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the next thing on our agenda that I just wanted to touch on is the school board member training discussion. I'm sure you all get the emails. I'm assuming you're on that list now too, David. We do have availability for training. We can attend trainings that are already scheduled. We can ask someone from the New Hampshire School Board Association to come to Hampstead and give us a training if we have a particular topic we want discussed.
That's what we've done in the past.
Right. And so we have a list of some things, some of which includes new member orientation. I'm assuming you don't have to be a brand-new member. If anybody wanted to go, they could still go. Is there anything I'm missing that Dr. Metzler or Melissa, you want to add to this? I don't know if anyone has questions or interest.
Well, do you want to have them down here again? I mean, that seemed to work. We've done that a couple of years.
It did. I believe we asked about, a couple years ago, we did it for electioneering,
Yes.
Yes.
because we wanted clarification there, related to somewhat to some of our initiatives that
Yeah,
we
that was
wanted to see
specific.
that line.
And then in general, it's just good for new school board members, and we'll have two.
That's true.
Just go over the role of the school board member and,
New chair, 2 new members.
That's true. I'm a new chair. I've never done this before.
Yep.
So, keeping that in mind, do we want to attend one that's already set up, or do we want to ask them to come down?
What does it cost to have someone to come down, remember?
nothing.
There you go.
Have them come down.
Come on down. Who wants to
Okay.
drive to Concord
Right, at 5:30, and then drive home.
in separate cars?
I'm sure we'd all have to be in separate cars. 'cause-
It's very easy. They came down, we met in the conference room.
Yep,
And that's one of the benefits we get for being members, so let's ask them to come here.
okay.
Agreed.
And we'll ask Dr. Metzler to
Coordinate?
coordinate that.
And we'll find a date. We'll send,
Yes.
You have quite a busy month of May, so I'm not sure if, is May when you want it done? Or is it?
I think
I'd
June
rec-
gets busy as well, would it?
That's
Yeah.
exactly what I was going to say. I'd recommend May versus June.
Yeah, I would agree,
It's just you just were polled today for other nights, and
right. Well, we should know by, I would imagine Monday night, we're going to know at least a ballpark of when we'll have, well, that meeting, and then we have other SAU meetings, I'm sure that will be scheduled.
and then
So-
both districts have their regular meetings
Yeah.
as well, so that's where it really starts to, you get your 3-4 nights in a week of meetings, you'll have your Hampstead meeting, you have an SAU meeting, then, unless you wanted to do it before a Hampstead meeting, if you had it from 6 to 7, I mean, is it an hour, you looking 2 hours?
Yeah, I was going to ask that because this training says 3, and I'm sure with a smaller group, it wouldn't be 3 hours.
Right.
But I don't know how long that would be. 2,
I think
hour and a
6 to,
half?
I think 6 to
Hour?
7, I mean, I
Yeah.
think an hour would be plenty, because if there's only 5 of us,
I don't,
I mean, we could ask the questions we want to ask, and they could just
Right.
answer. I don't think we need to,
And I'm sure their availability, they have calendars that they say, here's our dates that we can do, and then we can, by that time, we'll probably know what we can do.
Okay, let's do this, we'll try to get some dates.
Mm-hmm.
One of the options will be to try to have it before one of your meetings,
yes,
in addition to what other dates they may or may not be available, and you're looking for something between an hour and an hour and a half, you don't need 3
Yes.
hours with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, got it?
Yes, I do, thank
Great.
you.
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, next up is election results. Didn't have a chance to go over these at our last meeting, which was the meeting right after the elections. So I did want to give anyone on the board an opportunity to talk about this if they wanted. I mean, as a general piece, first of all, I want to say thank you for the budget passing, and we do appreciate the support from the town on that. Obviously, a big effort of this board and several boards beforehand have been what is commonly known as Article 2, and trying to get that passed. We know those problems aren't going away. They're going to continue to get worse, and we cannot ignore infrastructure along with a multitude of other needs. So, I would like to say we know exactly what's going to happen next year and what will be put forth. We can't make that determination right now because there are a lot of factors that come into play, both budget-wise and what we can do. One of the reasons that I did want to bring this up is because I would like at least a consensus of the board that we want to continue to get information, and also potentially continue to work with our construction team, whether that means looking at costs or whatever we want to do. But we need to consider the fact that we have been extremely lucky the past year that our construction team has pretty much donated their time for their extra support. They have supported us in a lot of ways and done a lot of work for us above and beyond what should be expected of them. And I think this board and the town should expect that if we are going to continue to ask that construction team to support us and to be potentially gathering information for us, we need to understand there's a cost involved. Even just looking at what new construction costs are as the year goes by. That's time that they put in. So with that in mind, I'd like to hear other board members' thoughts and get a consensus of what direction we want to move in terms of new information or continuing to support the information we have and the plans that we have. Anyone have thoughts? No?
Well, I
Okay.
definitely support moving forward with a plan. Is it going to be the same plan? I don't know. But I don't think we should wait, and I'm not saying we have waited till the 9th hour, whatever you say, whatever that quote is. I think maybe we should start talking about it. I know we're doing it right now. What a future plan might look like. And the biggest hurdle is not what a plan might look like, but how could we get enough voters to vote for it? Like, what happened? Try to understand that more. I know we all have our ideas of what happened, but we need to wrap our head around it and have some plan next time. I don't care if the plan was $1 million. I don't even know if that would pass. So we need to try to figure that out. We can't just keep on letting them go to that school in that condition. So I don't know what the next step is. Do we start a committee? Do we do something with the public again like we did before? I don't know. But we need to do something. We shouldn't wait. I don't think we should wait until after the summer.
No,
We should start some ball rolling. It might be a slow roll, but we should keep it going, and this is a start right now, I guess.
yeah. And that's one of the reasons I also wanted to have discussion. I mean, we have a construction committee, and we have some support there from our experts. So seeing if we move forward with that and continuing to meet with them.
I mean, I stand by the plan that we currently have, but we should still talk about it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I have 3 things. Number 1, I think we have to, as a board, we have a responsibility to put something forth again. Not to would be irresponsible. If something were to happen, safety-wise or anything in that school, and we've stopped work on this, I think the liability is going to fall right at our doorstep as a board, because we're not continuing to work towards corrective measures. I think we have to have a plan in place that we're putting forth that says, look, this is going to address all the identified needs and issues in that school. So we have to work on it. That's one thing. I think we have a responsibility as a board to do that. The second thing is, Caitlin's absolutely right. The construction team, Bonnet, Page, and Stone, Dennis Myers, architect with Craig Jones, and Gino Baroni from Trident, have been very generous with their time. They did everything this past year to control costs and to keep their costs down. The SAU said we have bills that came in, and then they highlight it and they said it's going to be for professional courtesy, complimentary service, bills for $2,200, $3,500, costs that they've eaten to help us to try and keep costs down in an effort to try to get this to pass. But every time they come to a meeting, every time they come or help with anything, they're not being paid for that at this point. So we have to decide if that's what we want to do. We also need to ask them if they want to continue to work with us. You can't assume that they would want to. And the third thing is, what was the third thing? There was a third thing. There's the plan, there's the cost. I don't know, it just left. There's 2 things. Oh, yes, and I was going to say, I agree with Jim that we need to put forth the same plan. People can say, well, it hasn't passed 5 years, 6 years, whatever. But let's remember, this plan was just the second year for this plan. The first year it went out, we had that terrible snowstorm that delayed everything by 2 weeks. So this really was only the second year that this plan did not pass. And I think to keep moving the goalposts and having everything change, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, I don't think that's helping anybody. Some people may think that that's helping to appease people in the town or the voters to see something different. David, I know you're new, but Caitlin and I, we spent 2 years on this, 1 whole year in a construction committee with everyone, Dr. Metzler, Dr. Wilson, Dillard Collins, Tom Gary, Jeff Dowd, Caitlin, myself, the architect. It was, 14 people, twice a month, 3 hours each time, 6 hours a month devoted to looking at every option. I know people like to think that we didn't look at everything. We could have done something differently. But I can assure you that we spent a year, 12 months, 6 hours every month, going over everything with architects, comparing it to other schools and what the prices of those buildings were. We really did our due diligence. And if anyone, thinks we need to start over again, I just think that's a waste of this board's time and the waste of our administration's time, because we've already done that. And I just want to put that out there. I am not in favor of changing this plan 1 iota. It's a good plan. It meets the needs. It's the most cost-effective plan, even though some people don't agree with that. It is. We looked at different ways of doing things. We looked at different vendors. We looked at everything. This was the most cost-effective plan for the town of Hampstead. Why it didn't pass, I don't know. I'm going to try and go there. But all I can say is we have done our due diligence. This board has spent hours and hours with the administration getting the best plan possible for our kids. And I believe the best plan is what we already have. That's my input. Thank you.
Yeah, I hear people say that, Hampstead spoke and they didn't vote for it. Hampstead didn't speak, a small portion. Thousands of Hampstead residents did not vote last time. So Hampstead didn't speak, only a small portion did. And who speaks every day across the street are those kids. They don't want to be in a cold classroom. They don't want to be in a hot classroom. They don't want to be in a closet. They don't want to be in a gymnasium that's also a cafeteria, and they don't have enough gym time. So they speak every day over there. So it's not about 22% or this time 30-something% of people that came out. It's about the kids. And people talk about, I don't want to go on, but people talk about resale value of houses and the school. It's about the kids. It's always been about the kids. It's not about us. It's not about our egos in this plan. That plan was based on those kids across the street. And what we need is people to come out and vote. It was important enough to come out and vote for the president at 80-something% turnout or whatever it was. But a typical 20-something%, that's ridiculous. They can't come out and vote. Ridiculous. There's only a small fraction of people in this town that might not be able to vote on voting day. Other than that, there's no excuse. I'm sorry. I'm not going to mince my words. No.
So I think from my standpoint, being the new person on it, I'm probably not the most popular opinion. I would want to know more about what are the options for the school and more communicating out to the audience, because I know some people have said to me, well, I don't have time to watch a 4-hour video. They want to know what are the facts. There's a lot of communication out there that we all know, good, bad, or indifferent, but I don't think there's really crisp, clear communication out to the community all the time. As a member of the community before coming on the board, I know it was hard for me to sometimes find the things and find the time to get here. So we got to give that some credit, that there are people that do want us to hear crisp, clear communication. I also think that one thing that will help, and I'll say right to the audience, anybody watching, we need more parents, more people to take part in being out there. We can't do it by ourselves. We need more people that'll come out, hold a sign, go to a rally, go to a school event, whatever, just to communicate these messages we want out there. If we're, so steadfast against it, for it, which I am, then we need more parents out there doing the same thing. We can't, the four of us couldn't do it, a fifth member, Dr. Metzler and others. We really do need a rally from the town of those that are as emotional about it, positive emotion about it. But we do also have to hear those people that did say no. Now there's always going to be those 10%, 20%, whatever percent that are going to say no. We have to listen to some of that to say, if they're not ready to do 8 million, are they ready to do 7 million? Get the communication on what that is. But what is it really that we've looked at in what, I agree with you, Karen. There's cost-effective things that are being done. But I don't think people really know what those cost-effective measures are. And I'm not saying excusing those people for not, looking at the website or watching a video, but how do we get that out there better? Instead of, things at the last minute, make this out throughout the year, whatever things we can do, what's a different approach? And be open to that. So, it's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I think, I know for myself, and I know from people that I've spoken with, and this comes from both other towns, it comes from listening to our project managers and our architect. These projects don't pass because of the school board. It doesn't pass because of the superintendent. It doesn't pass because of the principal. It only passes and it is only successful when the town and a group of very concerned and dedicated citizens lead that effort. So we hear feedback. It's not that we don't listen to it, but I don't want to turn this into any sort of real blame thing. I don't. If you were as upset the day after as some of us were, as all of us were, that Article 2 didn't pass, I'm sorry, but it's time to get involved. You have to be willing to put time in, even if it's just talking to your neighbors, but it has to be a group effort. It can't be driven through on the backs of 5 people.
Yeah, if I can.
It's not just talking to our neighbors, though.
Right.
The towns where it has passed, where it's passed in Hampton and Salem and Pelham and other towns across the state, this was a coordinated effort.
Yes.
The Lions clubs, the civics clubs, the Rotary clubs, the chambers of commerce, those organizations, mothers clubs, they were all behind it. Every single one, in every town where that passed. You would go into Salem and they'd be talking about it, they'd be pitching it at a Rotary Club breakfast. That doesn't happen here. And it's not that we don't have infrastructure, because we have those clubs in this town.
Yep.
But they're not on board. They don't, I don't know why, I can't say why, but they're not. But as Caitlin said, it's not going to happen until this town, as a town, gets on board.
I'll say that.
Go ahead, Jake.
No, I was just going to say, that next morning I woke up and I wanted to beat myself up because, being a parent in the community, I just thought it would pass. To me, it was some of it was hard to, to swallow. Some of the things I saw, some of the things I was like, okay, do we really need it? I didn't know all the communication, but the next morning I said to myself, why didn't I get involved more sooner? Why wasn't I out there pitching, at a softball game, hey, vote for the school, just to hand out a flyer, whatever that took. And I really don't want to see that happen again. And I really hope that the parents that have contacted me that night, the next day, the 2 days later, even 2 days ago, are actually want to do something and really self-organize as a grassroots effort. Without it, we're going to be here next year doing the same thing, the same time, same place, gritting our teeth, being really pissed off. So I just, for those that are watching and those that I will contact after this, we need to get something organized. There are plenty of great people in this community that want it. Just get better organized.
Yeah. One last point I would just like to say. We know it's not just parents, by the way. From working on this
Sorry.
as a volunteer. No, I want to give props to those people because as a volunteer and a school board member, I've been doing this for 5 years. And some of the staunchest supporters, some of those people who were out there with me a few years ago in snowstorms, knocking on doors and canvassing, they weren't parents. They were not people who had kids in that school or any of the schools anymore. So we do have those. I just wanted to give them a shout out. Okay. I wanted to give everybody a chance to do that, but I know we have to move on. Also related to election results, though. Obviously, this did not happen in our district, but it happened in our sister district, and I know there have been people talking about Timberlane's withdrawal study. To give us information and to ease people's minds, because I know there is some fear out there that Hampstead is going to be left with some massive bill. I asked Dr. Metzler if he would be willing to talk to what the process is and how Hampstead is getting prepared, if needed.
I'd be happy to. First, this is a Hampstead lens, right? I look at this from two different lenses, so I hope people can bear patience. But, the mission of the Hampstead School District is to provide challenging educational opportunities that prepare all students to live and work in the 21st century. Unfortunately, some of the opinions that I've heard about this withdrawal study are from the 20th century, right? So they're not applicable to today. Right, so as we look and move forward, what could happen for Hampstead? Hampstead, right now, Hampstead's paying 23% of the SAU bill. Timberlane's paying 77%. They have contractual obligations to this school district, Timberlane does, through August of 2022. So, as we look at that, I can tell you that Hampstead will be able to get the same level of service, with or without Timberlane, will not be paying more, right? And through 2022, we'll actually even be paying less than what you're currently paying for the same services. Well, how is that possible? Well, they're contractually obligated to provide some of the services to some of the employees. So if they withdraw from SAU 55, you're SAU 55. That's your central office. They'll need to go create their own central office, but they'll still be obligated to pay you for some of those services. So, what are those services in a reorganized kind of central office? The superintendent services, of course, the business office. You look at transportation, facilities, food service, and then some support staff, right? So, we put together some pro forma budget, looking at that with our business office about, what is Timberlane going to need to do and what is Hampstead going to need to do. And I can tell you the Hampstead residents need not worry, need not listen to 20th century opinions about this. The 21st century version of this is like all those services will continue in Hampstead, with or without Timberlane. There will not be additional cost to Hampstead, and we will carry on with the excellent services that we provide to students and families that live in this district. Now, you asked a little bit about the process. The process has a lot of twists and turns depending on what happens. So Timberlane will do their study, they'll decide whether or not it's feasible, it will go on a ballot, they'll vote, it could be on the ballot for 2 consecutive years. The Department of Ed has to do some approval, there's a huge RSA that needs to be followed, and lots of if this, then that, so it's really hard to say, there's not a real clear path, there's a real flow chart to what may or may not happen. For Hampstead, you just need to know your services will continue, they will not be diminished, and they will not cost more, irregardless of what the sister district does. And that's what the people of Hampstead need to know. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell, unless you have any questions.
Does anybody have questions?
No, just want to repeat, just so if anybody here, so you're saying that if they do leave, costs will be the same or less?
Costs will be less initially and then about the same as we reorganize central office. And so clearly, the whole operation would not be the central office for Hampstead, but those services I spoke about with some support staff, and that would be determined with discussions with you about what your exact needs would be, and obviously discussions with Timberlane about what their new SAU would look like. And so, we're hoping that will be amicable regardless of how it happens. But I just need the people of Hampstead, once again, to not worry that the services that are provided to Hampstead will continue to, and will not be diminished in any way, shape, or form, and will not cost more, irregardless of what anyone tells you. Right.
Dr. Metzler, is it possible for you to give us kind of what some preliminary cost would be for us for Hampstead on its own?
No, absolutely, and I would, well,
At a future meeting, I didn't mean like...
At a future meeting, I don't have those numbers with me now, but
Yes.
that I would call that like a pro forma budget, like what that might look like.
Right.
And so I'm looking at all the services that you need and then trying to fit it into that number.
Yep.
And, that can be pared down or pared up, depending on what this board wants, as far as what you're going to need for a central office in the event that we get to that point. So my target would be so that it would be break even, and break even would mean Break even would be less because of the money that Timberlane would be getting. So I'm thinking break even would be like a 3 to 5 year plan about what your SAU would look like without Timberlane, knowing that the first few years you'd have credits, so it wouldn't be as much of a bill that eventually would be, but you would be around the same amount of money that you're currently paying for the services that this district needs to, from a central office.
Okay, that'd be great.
Just with that, would you be able to give like risk opportunities along with that? Like things that you're seeing that could be a challenge in the out years? Typically I've seen in business plans where here's what we're thinking nominally for a forecast, but also what are some of those areas we could possibly save more, or what could be a challenge, and just know that what could be more,
Well, yeah, the term I use is kick and punch, so kick and punch whatever I
Okay.
bring to say, these are places where we might be able to, people have multiple skills, and sometimes we get kind of pigeonholed into what we're doing, but we can do other things. And so, depending on what the will of the board would be at that point, those would be the difficult decisions in terms of personnel. And I think it would be person-specific about what you could or could not do. Like, for instance, if I had a special ed background, which I don't necessarily have a degree, but, where you can help out, where you can provide curriculum support, where you can provide support to different parts of the district. Obviously there's busing, there's the budget, and there's some other things that need to be done. So you just have to look at the totality of everything that needs to get done and make sure you have the skill set in the personnel department, to actually deliver on that. So that would really be the goal.
Good. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, next we're on to, these are policies on second read, so please review, and then we can do a motion, and since this is my first time doing this, and one of David's first times on a second read, basically we're adopting these if we vote to accept them. So we are doing second read for policy EGA, GBEF, JICL, IJNDB, JLD, JLIA, JIBA, CA, EEAE, EHAB, JQ, and JICE.
I'll make a motion that we accept on second read and move to adopt 12 policies that appear in our packet.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Thank you.
Okay, board comments and correspondence. We're going to start with you, David, since you're on that side.
Oh, good. Let's see. Attended the father-daughter dance this weekend at the middle school. It was amazing, fun, good time. Great to see how the school's set up, and the parents and the kids, and just having a lot of fun dance. Cliff was there DJing. He was making, a good time for all that to be had. Let's see, what else did we have that was at the school? We had the Heritage Night, which was another amazing thing. Hats off to Mr. Torelli and his team, and just everybody in general, singing, dancing. A lot of fun there. I know my daughter, for one, was like talking about it for days ahead of time, and still talked about it this weekend to my family members. So it was great.
I'm all set, thank you.
Okay. I also attended the multicultural night. David said it all well. It was fantastic. It's always fantastic. As Mr. Collins mentioned, I attended a panel yesterday for the Eddies group at Central School, which was very interesting, and it was I was involved on the community panel, so it was great to talk to the representatives who were there, and also to hear what some of our other community members who were represented had to say about our wonderful Central School. I think that's it since our last meeting. I think that's it.
Yeah. That's not a comment. I did lunch buddies, which is always fun. I enjoy doing that. But I have to tell you, it really brought home again the need to do something in that cafeteria. I was sitting there with my granddaughter and her friends, and music was on the stage with African drums. And it was really great.
Which is a great program. The drum circle is amazing.
It was great, except you really couldn't talk to the person next to you. You know, it was like going out to dinner in a place, you know, like at a sports bar or something where there's like no soundproofing and you can't talk to the person across the table from you. So that's just one other area where it just shows something needs to be done. You cannot have music on a stage and have kids trying to have a social lunch. It just doesn't work. So that was, I saw that up close and front, you know, close and personal, how that just doesn't work. And also you mentioned the father-daughter dance, and I just want to say that there are many different prongs to that because my husband attended that with our granddaughter, so that was the grandfather-granddaughter dance. And they had a wonderful time. So it was nice. That's it.
Actually,
Redacted.
Jim remembered something.
no, it's not a remembered something.
Oh.
It's from this conversation. A lot of people use this school. I'm wondering if all the people that put brochures in our schools could be asked to come to this meeting when we talk about the school, when we talk about the bond, the Mothers Club, whoever puts any brochures in our school, PTSA that uses over there and over here, they come here and we talk and we ask and we lay it on the table. We want your help. And they can say yay and nay. They can say it in front of the cameras. But just like David said, we need this community to come together. We need to ask and they can respond. If they don't want to do it, so be it. But I think we need to ask, we need to have a conversation. They want to ask questions to us and get information about the plan or whatever, that's fine. But I think we should ask Rotary Club, whatever group to come here. Maybe we have a night for the local businesses.
And that's actually something that has been thrown around a little bit. Do we have I don't know what we would call it, not a public discussion, but maybe a special meeting of some sort, because we have to, logistically, I believe we have to notice a meeting if all of us are going to be there. Okay?
Maybe we just do it during this meeting. We ask different people
Well,
to speak
I mean, if
or come here.
it
I don't-
raises a point about, you know, a little more communication, a different way to communicate. So I think that's something we should think about and we can talk about for how we do that. I think it's a good point.
Agreed. I think that should be in our plan of, you know, what can we do differently, but still keep the same message, keep the same things, if that's what we wanted, but how do we communicate differently, to your point, Jim? I
Right.
think it's great.
You know, I hear what you said, David, but, you know, and I'm not on Facebook, not anymore, specifically because of the bond and what people say about the bond. You know, every year after the election, and I don't even want to talk about Facebook because I don't want to give Facebook anything myself, but people come out, you should have done this, you shouldn't have done that, this, that. I have marketing experience, do this. When it comes down to crunch time, no one's there.
That's
First board
Agreed.
meeting, right? How many minutes after the board meeting starts do we have public comments? Minutes, and then they can go home. Bam, they go to take a nap, go eat dinner, whatever they want to do. They don't have to be here for hours. No one was here, but they were talking on Facebook. I'm not here to dig people, but I'm just telling you the way it is. You know, we need to get people involved. That's why I'm saying we need to ask people. We need to ask them to come here and talk to us. Ask us questions.
right.
You know what I mean? You know, I know someone on the school board in Wyndham, and man, those PTSA and Mothers Clubs, they were all involved.
Right.
I don't know. You know, I
We're
heard,
not trying to call anybody out. We're not.
no, I'm just
those
using them as an
organizations do a
example.
lot. No, right.
and I know
But it
plenty of
comes
people
back
in
to
those groups
community.
are involved, but we need many groups to come together, not just individuals.
Yep.
You know, I mean, back when we were knocking on doors, how many were there? 6 or 7 of us?
The most recent year we did that, yep, there were about 7 of us.
That's it.
Right.
We call people out. I mean, not call, we ask people to come involved during these meetings.
Yeah.
That's what we got. And believe me, after this election, I told my wife, I should have done more. I could have done more. I could have knocked on more doors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now I know that that's ridiculous, because if the town doesn't come together,
Doesn't matter.
I'm not knocking on any doors next year.
Yeah.
Because,
I'm just going to go back to what I said before. We're not going to do this just a few of us here. It's got to be grassroots. It's got to be people passionate. We, myself included, trust me, like I said, I want to kick myself in the behind. We have to get off the couches and do something. If we really want to do it, it's not going to just pass because we think it's the best thing for the kids. Because you're right, it is for the kids. At the end of the day, it's for the kids. And some of us think it's just going to pass. It just makes sense. Unfortunately, that's not what it's going to take. It's going to take a lot more than that. Taking people coming here, whatever it is. But agreed.
right,
So on that note, if you want to get involved, reach out to David.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, on to the consent agenda. We have a personnel report. Dr. Metzler?
I do have a personnel report. Annually, the meeting following your renomination list, as we move people around and we follow the contract, it creates a couple additional renominations for different reasons. So we have a couple for you this evening. We're proud to bring back Sarah Bartik. She's a social studies teacher at our middle school, and Brendan Hoare, who's a ELA teacher, English Language Arts teacher, also at the middle school. So those are two renominations. And I know we're going to do the whole consent agenda, right?
I think we usually,
We usually,
we
wanna
do,
do the personnel
vote
first?
on
we
personnel
do these
separate.
separately.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
Can I have a motion to accept the renominations?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Oh, sorry, discussion, but
great, thank
still
you.
getting used to it, all right.
That's great. Just a really quick report tonight. Basically, I'm looking for some direction or permission, if you will. We have some open positions, administrative open positions. One of them is a curriculum position. To get your permission to pursue looking at a different way of configuring, offering those services, whether it's a couple of different options, just your permission to kind of bring something back for you to take a look at, whether that's 2K to 8 kind of. They're not new positions, just a different way to kind of provide those services to both the Hampstead Central School and Hampstead Middle School. All right. If not, we should be thinking about posting that position. So I want to see if you want to take a look at some options first before you decide kind of what's the best way to go for next year. Again, we're trying to plan long-term about what a reorganized central office may look like 2-3 years down the road. And so it's an opportunity looking at a position in terms of how we distribute some of the responsibilities and how we move forward. But I really would want, like I said, your permission to kind of bring something to you.
I'm open to that. I think we should have a consensus or a vote, but would we be able to have it by our next meeting, which is the first one in May? Because I don't think we want to push it out too much further.
It would be sooner than later. I need to get that to you.
Yeah. Okay. Do we need a vote for that, or can we
It can
just?
just be
No, just a
consensus.
Consensus? Everybody okay with him? Okay.
Yeah, and I just want everybody to have a general understanding of kind of where we're going. So, we're looking at, potentially, it could be a math and science and a literacy person that services K to 8. It could be a middle school, central school specific kind of person that, or some sort of combination. So there's a lot of different options to consider here. So we want to put together some things for your consideration.
Okay.
Okay.
And would that have cost associated, like, when you bring that to us, can we look at cost?
Yeah, it would be a significant cost savings.
And I think it's important that we look at the options
And then come out,
specifically
yeah, to vote.
this year in light of the SAU withdrawal on the Timberlane side, that passing. I think we need to be open to different options to see how we move forward.
Yeah.
Yep.
Make sense?
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
And the last piece of that was, I know in here, and I know a few of you were looking at this district financials report, which is maybe a little different than you've gotten in the past. So, Jeff Dowd put together something, and if this pleases you, then he'll continue this practice. If not, you can let us know, and we'll figure out kind of how you want to do it. This looks pretty good from me at a quick glance, but
Is this basically the same thing as what we see for vouchers, though? Oh, well, I guess it has salaries in it. Never mind. Answered my own question. Oh, I have vouchers on the brain. I did it.
It's more than just what we see at vouchers.
Yeah.
So this
Well, I
would
know
be
that
something you, my understanding, you'd be looking to give you this monthly, and it's probably at your, um, one of the 2 meetings. So I don't know if it's going to be the
Okay.
same meeting each month, because sometimes we only meet once in a month, but to have this for you, if this works, that's great, we'll let them know, and if you want it done a different way, please let me know, and we'll direct them to do it differently.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Dr. Metzler, do we need to do anything with that other piece of correspondence that I
Oh.
showed you?
Yeah, I
I don't know if the board has to take official action, other than you would direct that would come from Nancy Lewis-Sal and from Jeff Dowd. So it's the business office and HR. This is Hsdsb has a intent to negotiate.
Right.
And they're just looking for some financial information to help them get started in their process, and so those questions would be directed to our HR department and our business office.
Okay.
So we don't take any
No,
action to do?
we can get back to them and let
Yeah.
them know, and get their questions infilled, right?
Okay,
So that would go to Nancy.
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we are, I believe, going to go into a non-public under 91A3, paragraph 2C, under reputation. And I believe we also have, where's legal? G? Oh. I don't know, what are we going to do for legal?
That was fun.
Usually it's E, if you're...
E?
Yeah.
Okay.
Consideration, negotiation, pending claims or litigation.
Okay, we're going in under C, reputation, and E for legal. Cable, we are coming back out to take a vote, hopefully. That is the plan.
So you want to shut off,
What?
shut these
Yeah.
off.
But we're going into non-public. Oh, wait, we have to pull the board, I'm so sorry.
Can I just have a motion to enter into
Oh, yeah.
public, like Madam Chair said, and then someone to second it?
Motion to go into non-public under 91A3, paragraph 2, C and E.
Someone to second?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Smith? Yes. Mr. Sweeney?
Yep.
Madam Chair?
Yes?
And Mrs. Yusenka? Yes. Thank you.
Good night.
Join the fun. Oh,
I can't even read that
You have to put your glasses on, Jim. Are they for distance or? Oh.
distance.
Okay, we are back in public meeting. We are going to take a vote. Jim, do you have a motion?
You want to say what the vote is?
I don't know, do I need to say what the vote is?
Well, we're taking the motion now to vote, right?
Right, so
we
he
would
can just say
Oh, okay.
no? Somebody tell me what to do.
need someone to make a motion
Okay,
and someone to second it.
can I have a motion for a nomination for our MP school board seat?
Yeah, we have a nomination, make a motion to nominate Jason Gerard for a one-year term on the vacant school board seat.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
I think on that note, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
We're adjourned it.
Thank you, Cable.
Thank you, Cable.